A crime-ridden, rat-infested, den of inequities. That was how Staunton was viewed until Jabber Jawn Investigators for Hire hung their placard by their frosted glass window. Since late 2022, Jabber Jawn has spent untold hours pounding the pavement, bringing justice back, to what once was said was too hot to handle. Our rates are $100 a day plus expenses. And by expenses, I mean all the rotten liquor, and foul-mouthed tramps we desire. If you think your third-rate Romeo husband is being a little generous with your checking out stash, we can put a tail on him, and squeeze some answers out of him at one of Staunton's seedy dive bars, where he sits at a back table enjoying drinks with his secretary. Is the coat check girl at your dance hall seemingly walking off with more than her fair share of patron scarves and fur coats? We can quietly question her while she loads a full duffel bag into her tier trunk. Does your trophy wife seem to be spending an exceedingly large amount of time next door, at the airline pilot, who just moved in's house? Call Jabber Jawn and set these issues to right. Some say we aren't fancy. Some say we aren't even friendly. But you have our word, we play fair and we play rough. We know the feeling when Johnny Law seems to not give two blasts, of their overheated siren, about your struggles. They'd rather lean against the fence at the high school football game and talk about their glory days. We know the torment of wanting to get an answer, and not having any options, but your best friends ain't who is good at finding information on the internet. Jabber Jawn puts you first in line and delivers street justice where it belongs. Staunton now is a city your grandparents can walk around downtown without having to hide their life savings and fanny packs strapped under their shirts. Staunton is a town you can drop your kid off at the park to play while you go enjoy cocktails with friends, knowing that when you go back to the park later there is a 50-50 chance your kid will still be there. Jabber Jawn Investigators. Give us a call at 1-800-FHTCRIM and no, we don't mess around with that in the web stuff. You want our help, you need to come down to the waterfront office and sign the paperwork in person. We don't trust you any more than we do your deadbeat boyfriend who sold your couch for dope money. Give us a call and make your world right again.
Frog sitting on a log, one of them fell in. One frog said to the other frog, well, you better go get her. Two little frogs sitting on a log, one of them fell in. Last little frog, he sat and thought, good thing they can swim. Jabber Jawn, Jabber Jawn, Jabber Jawn, Jabber Jawn. Three little frogs sitting on a log, one burst into a grin. One frog said to the other frog, wonder what's got into him. Two little frogs sitting on a log, one laughed until he is red. Last little frog, he sat and thought, must have been something I said. Jabber Jawn, Jabber Jawn, Jabber Jawn, Jabber Jawn. Hey, and we're live. We don't have our producer tonight. Lex couldn't make it to the show tonight, so we are on our own here. So we're going to need your help out there to let us know that you can hear us, that you can see us, that things are working reasonably well anyways. But I'm Nathan Moore, your host. This is Kyle Hogg. This is Steve Moore, and we are Jabber Jawn at your service. Welcome to the show. Hog more and more. I got some buttons here that I can try to change cameras, and Kyle's going to keep an eye on the chat.
Right. Talk to me.
We'll make sound effects with our bodies. Could you do that?
God, I used to be able to. I haven't done it for so long.
Did you? Were you able to
Never,
do that?
never,
Yes, you could.
never.
Did you try?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I spent a week one time. Stayed in the bathroom, just try every angle you could.
Tried every angle.
His parents were like, damn, it sounds like he's dying at that.
Yeah, well, my parents were worried. There were some weird sounds coming out of there.
Oh,
But they were used to. I used to spend a lot of time in the bathroom. You know, that was when
There's
I
always questions.
was having to change a lifetime. Things were going on in the chemistry of my body was changing, and I didn't understand it at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I spent a lot of time in the bathroom trying to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You still do.
Excuse me.
Spend a lot of time in the bathroom trying to figure it
Oh,
out.
we got what in my house now? What is that all
I
about?
don't know.
now growing
I
up,
actually don't even know.
how many bathrooms did your house have?
We had 1.5,
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
they say in the business.
Was that a pain? Was that a pain in your butt?
No, I learned to wait because I had an older sister.
Yeah, I was gonna say, even had an older sister.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I learned to hold it, which is always a good thing to be able to do.
Mm-hmm.
I've since lost that skill, obviously, but there you go.
You only get this much holding time. You used yours up at an early age.
Yeah.
I already missed Lex with the sound effects. We've already got a couple of good bumps.
Silas said he tested the arm fart. He still got it.
Oh, you still got it? I actually went in for a sly attempt and nothing. I actually recoiled pretty quick because I'm pretty sweaty.
Could you ever do it well?
I could do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you?
Oh yeah, we would do it all the time.
Oh my God.
For the most part, I was out of the loop on most of the childhood stupid human tricks that people could do.
I was bad at every single one
All
of
of them. Can you curl your tongue? Can you?
I could fart, but not under control.
Not on demand.
Yeah, I didn't have any control over that, but I was an embarrassing farter.
Did you have a stupid human trick you could do that no one else could do?
God, I was diabetic.
You've been diabetic since you were a kid?
I saw this T-shirt that says I can do anything. I'm a diabetic. I can do anything except make my own insulin. Yeah, I was 8 years old when I got it. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, how's that happen?
Well,
Were you destined to have it the whole time?
I don't know. We just went for like when you're a kid, you go for your yearly checkup, and they check you, and they just decided they found out I had it. But I wasn't showing not any symptoms that anybody knew. I might have been showing all kinds of symptoms, but my family didn't know it.
So, is it something that you were born with that didn't manifest until you were 8, or was there?
Gosh, I guess. Do you know what it is?
Well, there's two types. There's the A and the B. The
Right.
A is you're born with it, which is what it sounds like.
Right.
You were born with that.
And the other's a result of bad habits, or?
Well, it just develops over a period of time.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's necessarily bad habits, but your body doesn't, for some reason, it breaks down, doesn't make enough insulin, and maybe it builds up and just.
Do you know what insulin is?
Well, it's just another chemical. I don't know its structure or anything, but
Or what role it plays, why it's so important?
well, it controls how the sugar is going to, if it's going to be taken into the body and how it's used. So I don't understand it that well, to tell you the truth. I don't feel like explaining it because I don't understand it. I'd rather talk about something I knew more about.
Yeah, I know absolutely nothing about it.
I mean, I know a little bit about it. I'm type 2.
Mm-hmm.
I said A and B. Yeah, but I've been type 2 all my life.
All your life?
Well, all my adult life and all my diagnosed life. You know, no, I wasn't. You're right. I didn't get diagnosed with it till I was an adult.
Right.
Till I was later. I didn't know there was diabetes in high school.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, but I that's more of an acquired thing, evidently.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're born with the weakness, but not the total inability.
Mm-hmm.
Someone who's type 1 just never can make insulin, period. So they have to have insulin added. I don't have to add insulin at the point I'm at, but they regulate it. And if I can't keep it under control with other chemicals, then I'd have to take some.
Mm-hmm.
So, but interestingly, since I've had all these other physical issues, they don't worry about my diabetes anymore.
Mm.
They don't even worry about my blood sugar because that's the least of my worries.
Least of your worries. How you been lately?
I've been doing really surprisingly well. I've shocked myself. I'm really, well, like it's been probably 5 or 6 weeks since I had the peritonitis.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not.
You look great.
It's in equilibrium, and I'm back up to 3,000 steps a day.
Wow.
Wow.
Or a month ago, I couldn't even
You're
walk.
running circles around your son, just so you know.
I'm not running anywhere. I'm walking.
You
so-
came through the door tonight like Kramer on Seinfeld. It's like, let us go.
Well, I'm used to hitting it 5 times before you answer, and it's locked. We beat on it for a while before you come down the steps. But yeah, I've been feeling much better.
It's wonderful.
I'm still very weak, but compared to what I was a month ago, it's all correlated with the coming of spring and the flowers blooming and the warmth. I was so cold all winter.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I seem to feel like I'm going to have another spring around.
Spring has sprung. It always seems to work.
It really has been. And I've never seen the flowers and trees as beautiful in the valley as they've been this year. And you wonder if that's just your perspective.
Right.
I'm appreciating it more.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think they're just beautiful this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all of our flowers are just bursting more than they ever have.
Yeah, your iris is coming in. We were looking at them. Just beautiful. But yeah, I think I am noticing things more too, appreciating seeing them one more time.
Mm-hmm.
And didn't mean to say it that way. I might see them 10 more times.
Right.
I'm just obstinate enough to stick around. I know me that well. I'm not going to be shocked if I'm 88 looking around saying, where the hell is everybody?
Right.
But yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, we got some strong genes.
So far, so good.
Yeah, should knock on some wood while I say
Yeah.
that.
I just read a sad thing today. I was reading about John Fonte. He was a writer back in
Yeah, we talked about
California.
him a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, okay. Well, Bukowski discovered him, and just really admired
That's how I
him.
found out about him.
And they said we should go meet him. And Fonte was a diabetic, and they amputated his legs, and he was blind and all this stuff. But before he met him, I think he had lost one leg and could still see and stuff. And people said he's out, he's giving up, he's getting ready to pass. But once Bukowski met him, he got some fire back in him and wrote another novel. And so everybody said, "Oh, you're great, you got him to go." And Bukowski looked at him and said, "No, I didn't. I just prolonged his suffering. The guy didn't have any legs, went blind." And I'm encouraging him, keep going, keep going. He said he felt bad that everybody else was like, the poor guy just let him get out of his misery. But the guy was trying to live, to do
He
the
dictated
novel.
his final novel
Yeah.
to his wife because he was blind and had no legs and couldn't do anything. So he dictated the final, and it was part of a series.
Yeah.
The Wait Until Spring Bandini series. You know, it's fascinating.
But so it's weird. I thought it was weird the way everybody else told Bukowski that you really encouraged him to live, and he's like, I just prolonged his suffering.
Right.
He probably wished I never showed up. Like, God, just let me be. Oh,
That is so powerful, though. Just the idea of a relationship or a connection with another human being can give you a whole new desire to live. Just one hang away from having a whole new perspective on life.
Give you a reason, yeah.
Well, it's been
happens all the time.
You just never know. It's been Kether's birthday week here at the house. Happy birthday!
Happy birthday,
It's been
Kethra.
such a magic. She's had such a magic birthday week. Just
Tell me about
just
it.
so many things. We had a wonderful dinner at Gloria's Papusaria on Tuesday night with our whole gaggle of friends. It was a really good showing. Go ahead, Steve.
I'd like to apologize. I got an invitation to that, and I thought you were going to your mother's house.
Oh.
So I never even considered the idea that I would go to Gloria's for, that. But I didn't think, I didn't mean it that way, but
I don't know exactly
But
what you mean.
yeah, I just never thought, no, I'm not going over to Gloria's. But the Papoose Blippa, well, I don't like to go to places I can't say. So
I have to
never
question
mind.
myself
But
every
yeah.
time I try to say it myself.
But yeah, I didn't know. I'm just admitting that it wasn't that I didn't come because of that. It was because I didn't know that that's what you were doing.
Gotcha.
Oh, wow.
It's a great place.
That's
It was the
funny.
first time we've ever eaten inside there. And the atmosphere is just so great, it's so charming. I think I said this to y'all a couple weeks ago, but it still holds true. You like almost expect Hemingway to be in the corner working on
Really?
it. All. It just has this great bar, old wood, just nice, rich hues, colors. It just it doesn't have that new stiff feeling. It feels like it's been there for 100 years.
That's funny.
It really feels good. You been in there?
Did you ever go to the old one down the other corner?
No, not really. Always takeout.
Yeah.
We always just got, and
That one didn't
the
have
original place didn't
Yeah,
have
it
much
didn't have the
seating.
charm like this one does.
But and another thing, I gotta say, our server was amazing, and it was so refreshing to me to experience that for so many reasons. But one of the reasons is I've gotten to the point where I was just starting to question my own sanity because I've been such a curmudgeon with every experience I've had in like a service industry exchange over the last few years. And I gotten to the point where with a lot of things, especially as you get older, you can't tell if the world is really just gone awry or if you're just old and yelling at kids to get off your lawn. It's hard to know. Like, does the music suck now or are you old? Like, it's
True.
so hard to tell. You don't know. Like, every other generation said the same thing about the new music. So it's just always hard to know, like, if you have a legit opinion that needs to be expressed or if you're just old, your butt hurts and you're curmudgeon now. Like, so there was a part of me that, like, every time I go out, I would just be like complaining about everything, just like, oh God, we don't know how to serve people anymore. Like what, but all this to say that not only was the service just so exceptional, so pleasant, so effortless, she just made it look so easy, like Beanie always did. Like you're juggling a million things, but there's not a bead of sweat on your brow. Just a smile on your face, just happy to display such grace and to provide such service for us. And it made me feel better about myself. Like, no, I'm not just a curmudgeon because I see this as being the glorious display that it is. And I love it and I appreciate it. And maybe I have a point about a lot of other people that have just forgotten how to do it out there. I feel like the world has lost its dang mind when it comes to a lot of this
Did you
stuff.
say glorious or glorious?
Both. Glorious, glorious. Her name was Deborah. If she's watching,
Way to go,
you're
Deborah.
amazing. You not only returned my faith in humanity, you returned my faith in myself, and I will forever be tipping you in my heart.
Wow, that's very nice.
This is when Lex would hit the applause. we have to do it all manually.
Wow.
So hats off. You've become quite a regular at the Marino's breakfast.
Yes.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I've been there 3 times.
No, more than that. More than that.
Breakfast is 3.
I don't know. Twice was Saul. You had your
That's it.
belugas there once, and
That was
you and
lunch.
Jean.
That was lunch.
Ah,
I've done 3 breakfasts and a lunch.
it was such a great picture of you and Jean Blackmer on Facebook.
Well, I just had to say that being with Jean was a special treat, of course, as usual. But really what came out of that was so special was the check-in, that picture on Facebook got from so many of my former students. Most of them were responding to Jean, not me. I get that, but I'll take some
it
credit.
was the
too.
two of you together. It was
Yeah,
a
the
force to be
two-
reckoned with.
The 2 of us together were a pretty good team.
Yeah.
So we created a little havoc along the way.
Well,
And you know, I was thinking about so many things that came back, but I just wanted to say all those wonderful people that checked in, including Kyle, former students and peers and people that knew us, and some of my peers that I worked with were, they were they enjoyed Stall 2 as much as anybody. I was thinking today Stall 2 lived through 4 different principals. Or I
Wow.
should say,
Now, a lot of people probably don't know what you mean by stall, too.
well, Stall 2 was it was like Jabber Jawn in the faculty lounge at Lehigh in the 60s, the 70s and 80s and 90s. And it was Ned Bonfoy, the history teacher, and Jay Higgs, the math teacher, and Mr. Blackmer and myself. And then other people would associate with us and give us ideas, but we always had lunch together, and it was the smoking lounge, and I didn't smoke. I was the only no, Jean didn't smoke either. But the smokers were in there, so
The smoking lounge.
they had already sold their souls to the devil, so it was the faculty lounge for the
There's a teachers in use in there.
where innocent people wouldn't go. And so stall 2 was one of the stalls in the bathroom in there, and that's where I got a lot of my best ideas. And we would, so that's what we called our group. And we would do, it was, I guess, a subversive activity around the school. We would put out memos that would mimic a memo from the day before from the administration, and ours would come out the next day, and you'd read the first line, you knew it was us, and we would just make fun of them, but we were always tried to never hurt people personally, we tried to keep it fun, and that we just had a lot of fun, but there were a lot of tricks being played, and it was just a lot of fun stuff that would go on there because of that little group of people. So.
And when did you guys call yourselves Stall 2 from early on?
Probably about the end of the first year. That was our name. Everybody knew Stall 2 with a Roman numeral 2. It was like there were 2 stalls.
Was there ever like a new teacher that would come to the school that wanted to infiltrate your group or whatever and had to navigate the social dynamics of like, how do I get to be a part of this gaggle of mischief?
Well, it was more like you had to be there. You just couldn't mail it in. And to be there, you had to have the free period. You had to have lunch. You had to you had to have lunch. It was just, it wasn't like it was, we want you
The
to
fates sort of put you all together.
Exactly. We didn't organize around anything. For instance, I would have loved to have had a phys ed teacher, but I never saw a phys ed teacher on the 2nd floor in my whole life. You didn't, so I didn't see those people. But and you know, some of the math and the art and music teachers, yeah, they're in another part of the school, so that we just kind of, it was more the second floor and a lot of the science and math department. But then Sarah was over in the government section on the other wing. But
So the gentleman he's talking about that he had breakfast with at Marina's the other day was Gene Blackmer, Mr. Blackmer to us. And he was the physics teacher. Dad was the chemistry teacher. And they shared a wall. Their blackboards touched each other on opposite sides of the wall. So they were always right next to each other. And it's... You guys are like a famous duo in teaching history, at least in local lore. That the synergy between you two, science,
Well,
you two nerds with all your experiments, blowing things up, and
all I can think about when I think back about that time, and a lot of it goes back to the kids we had. You know, I was thinking about that. You know, so many of those students are just wonderful people, and they were wonderful young people. But that was, we just had a, but the bottom line was we just had fun. I mean, it was fun to go to school. It was fun for me to go to work. And that, if you have a job like that, and Mr. Blackmer did that for me. And hopefully Gina and I did that for some students that were dreading science. All of a sudden they're saying, those guys, we don't know what's going to happen today. I got to go.
There's probably a lot of people that dreaded science but took y'all's classes because of the legend of I mean, you know, so many students would extol.
Yeah. Well, you know, I often wished I taught something that was more, I just felt like I had a mandate to teach chemistry at a level that they would understand it in high school. My mandate was not just to understand chemistry, and I wish it was, and I never really had that class. But at the same time, there was the other side of that sword was we got better kids. And I say better in the sense that they were more motivated to learn what was in front of them. So they sat there and listened, even if they didn't want to listen, they did. Whereas, as we talked about with some of these classes, it's, I mean, I substituted for a third grade teacher one day, and I've never seen anything like it. It was like 20 tornadoes in a room that you're supposed to control.
Right.
And I don't see how you can do that. So I felt like I had a very easy job compared to a lot of people.
Right.
And I did.
Sure.
I really did. On the other hand, a lot of people don't like working with teenagers. You know, there's something about them, but you know, that's hard. That's hard too, I guess, for some people. But again, I just, going back to what Gene and I did, we just had a heck of a lot of fun. And hopefully the people around us did too. Even the principals and the, you know, the ones we were giving a hard time. We never tried to hurt anybody's feelings. We were just trying to say, we're only here for a little while, let's enjoy this. But I've always felt like learning ought to be fun. You ought to enjoy learning stuff.
Gene definitely had that same MO.
Oh, yeah.
He taught me my first song ever on guitar.
Wow.
Eleanor Rigby.
Isn't that great?
Pivotal character.
That's great. Well, he still keeps up with you, and he's watched Jabber Jawn, he said.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Gene, I hope you're watching. You're a great man. Thank you for everything. Keep up the good work. What's he up to?
Oh, my gosh, I was talking about, he just never stops. He had 4 nights, every night during the week, he has some type of group. That he has a ukulele group one night. He goes to the nursing homes and plays the music for people. And then he has a father, daughter, granddaughter night.
Oh, wow.
Where they come and they play songs together. And then he has an old friends night. Yeah, he is still, until very recently, he was just still teaching classes at the SDB. So he'll never stop teaching. That's just in his blood.
That's amazing. Does he still have a separate shed for music?
Yeah.
Stuff?
Beth has put him out there in the shed.
He shed.
I asked him if he did his activities out there. He said, well, not if I have the ladies or women, it's more of a guy's place. I don't like people to be upset with how it looks.
Right.
In other words, Beth sent him out there, and she has to behave when he comes in the house.
Wonder why men in general do seem to have a higher threshold for filth not to generalize. I know there's all kinds of people in the world, but it is pretty funny too at the same time.
Yeah.
I wonder why that is.
Well, we're again. I mean, that's all very argumentative. There are some very neat people, and
There's no doubt about there's exceptions to these rules.
I think that's partly just the way it had always been socially accepted, that the women were going to take care of the house, and it's part of their job description. We were going to go out there in the woods and mow and do the yard work. We were going to track in stuff, and they were going to clean up after us. That was an old cultural
So it's
thing.
just remnants of
that
old.
was hundreds, thousands of years ago in terms of cultural development of the way we treat each other.
Now, do you think, I mean, what you said is basically answers my question. It's almost like a social thing. Like I can live in like filth at my house. Sometimes I'll just clean because I know if somebody comes over there, they'll be like horrified. But man, like now I got books stacked up everywhere, dirty clothes. I just don't even notice. I just walk by. If somebody's coming, I'm like, oh my God, looks like I gotta clean up everything.
Well, it's like an OCD thing. What's that stand for?
Obsessive compulsive disorder.
All right, I know people that have variations of degrees of that, but you just want things to be in their place.
Right.
Whereas I can walk in a room, and if it's all messy over there, I can just ignore that room.
Yeah, I got that.
I can walk around that room for a year. But other people are going to look at that and say, that's not right. And that's not male or female. That's just
true.
That's an OCD
It's probably like the observation I made initially is probably almost 100% remnants of old stereotypes.
Pretty much. I think so.
That there's just as much variation in every gender of that personality trait, for sure.
I think it is, because I see all the time.
No, my ex-wife used to have it was like, she would get so mad at me. Like, we would have like a party or something. We got to straighten stuff up, and I'd have like, 100 albums out and books and stuff. She'd say, put this stuff away. Now, to her, cleaning meant just put it away, get it on the shelf, it looks fine. To me, I go over there and be like, man, I got to put it in alphabetical order first. She'd come in there, you're still doing the books? And I'm like, I got to get them in alphabetical order and put them in there. She's like, God, just get them on there so it looks like we have a nice house. And I'd be like, no, moving things around. And
You're looking at a different picture.
right, yeah.
It's like whatever you're focused on.
Right.
You have a smaller focus.
Right. She's like, just get it off the floor. And I was like, well, if somebody looks at it, I want them to be able to find the album they're looking for, They got to...
It's like you're displaying both traits there. One being completely willing to live in chaos, but when it comes time for order, it's gotta be
right. Well, that's exactly when it comes to order. Get it in order so you don't have to like redo it later. There it is, and that's the way. If I never touch it again, at least it's in order when they find it.
I like it. I like that.
So then, like to go back to Kethra's magic birthday week, let's see. Then, so I one of her gifts I got her was a new Xbox, because we play video games. She's been playing that old one, and whenever when like her and Christiana and Saul and we play this game called Fortnite, and she was always the last one in the lobby, that she couldn't vote on where we were going on the island or whatever because she was on this old system. And she's coming, she'll be here. This thing's just crawling along. So I got her the latest, greatest console for her birthday. And then one of our favorite games of all time came out with a new update with a new part of the world for us to explore this week. We didn't even know it was happening. I just decided to look at it because she got a new Xbox, and Valheim Ashlands dropped this week. So that was just, the
Perfect
universe just
timing.
keeps raining these little gifts on her. On her birthday, she got notified by James Madison University that she has been promoted to full professor.
Wow.
Full professor.
All right.
Catherine Moore.
Wow.
That's exciting.
Professor Moore. Yeah, it's and
Unfortunately, she's playing Xbox. Will not be able to attend the class.
and it just keeps going. I mean,
Wow, that's
Percy's been acting a little strange lately, and we didn't know if there was something wrong with him or if he's just getting old. And apparently, he went to the vet and he got tested and everything, and all the reports came back clean. So that was a nice little load off, and he's just getting old, and so it's just been one little thing like that after the other. Her birthday week.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, everything conspiring to celebrate and her. It's been beautiful.
Well,
No, as part of her gift, you performing at Blackfriars?
No, that's next weekend. Thanks for bringing that up. I think it's May 6th, next Sunday. Is that right? Next Sunday is May 6th?
you're asking me.
Yeah, I know, but it's got to be right. But I think it's at 6:30. 4 songwriters. We're going to be doing In the Round, an acoustic performance on the Blackfriars stage, in the old spirit of Shakespeare, and so it's going to be a completely unamplified. It's going to be interesting.
Did you have to
Looking
play like a
forward to it.
lute or something like that? Are you able to use a normal guitar?
Oh, I might have to get a lute. That's a great idea. Intrigued indeed.
Would you know how to play one of those?
I can figure it out. It's got strings on it. Just pluck it out. But yeah, that's next. That's going to be part of Staunton Jams the whole weekend. There's going to be music all over Staunton.
Oh, I didn't know it was part. So the whole thing's going on next week. Okay, all
Yeah,
right.
Staunton Jams. And but I did do a special. I've started streaming music, me singing songs again, which I had missed. And
What's your schedule on that? Is
no
there,
schedule. I'm not doing a schedule yet. Just
How
whenever
do
I feel
people
like
know
it.
when you're on?
Well, if they subscribe to the YouTube channel, even for Jabber Jawn, they'll get a notification on their phone, like Nathan's Land is live now.
Gotcha.
So it's more like that, and I'm trying to make it. It's a lot different than all the stuff I've done before. No bells and whistles. Just there's 2 cameras, 2 microphones, one by the piano and one by the computer with my guitar, and I'm just singing songs. None of the electric stuff, none of the loops, none of the drums, and all that stuff, which was fun. But that was a whole different thing I was trying to do there, of just sort of being the tent pole, is a place to hang out or whatever, and doing multimedia experiments and fan interactions. And so the old hippie fiasco model, and the new season is like Naked and Afraid. It's just me and my songs, and not trying to go too long. Just if I feel like playing, I got it looking good and sounding good, I feel like, and then just
Well, I don't, I don't want to sound like an old man or your father, but I don't think you ought to go on there naked. That's wrong, son. I mean, even if I had something I want people to see, I don't think that's right to
It's
do
just
it
not
on
right
TV like that.
right, especially without warning or anything.
I guess, well, I assume you're just staying up above the waist and waving.
He's got the guitar.
Yeah, I got the guitar.
Oh,
right.
there you go. Okay.
Well, one
Clearly.
thing that I was watching it, and it didn't make sense to me. When I tap my feet, I always, it's my toe I tap with. And you had mentioned you wish you had something on your heels to tap on wood. Is that what musicians do, or that's just what you do? I've never thought about tapping with my heel.
Tapping with the heel.
I've never tapped with my heel either.
Well, he was saying he wished he had a board. And
Well, if you, I wish I could pan down, but if you
Put your leg on up there.
if you tap your foot, all the energy comes from just your ankle. Whereas if you tap your heel, your whole leg is pounding down. So you got that. Whereas I mean, I guess that's pretty loud too.
But so, what? But I couldn't. I was trying to. I mean, you just said it, then I started thinking about it. Do you attach something to your heel to make like a noise?
Well, I was just thinking of a block of wood.
Oh, okay.
Because I got a little carpet over there that
okay.
sort of muffles it.
Okay.
And I have like actually elaborate things that you plug a guitar cable into it, and it's all just for tapping on, but it amplifies that sound. Called a porch board. And there's a lot of versions of it. A lot of folk singers will have like some kind of microphone or something attached to a piece of wood that they tap on, and it gives them a nice little.
Better than hiring a drummer.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to deal with the drummer. You don't have to pay him. And
no, are you gonna have that at the block fires? Your porch board?
I haven't. I haven't. I've been daydreaming about the Blackfriars. Once I found out it was going to be unamplified, I was like, So like one of the first things I pictured was when my turn comes to get up and walk to the front of this to get as close to people. Because I don't. If we're all sitting back there.
Have you been there before? I mean, the sound there is like crazy good. It's really, Whenever I go there, I'm always like, good grief, are they shouting at me? Then I'm like, no, just the way this place is built, it really does do a good job.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Well, that'll be good.
So are you practicing any of the songs on air this week, or is this going to be all something you're not really...
Not really sure. Not really sure. Usually have like a few that you want to do, but then also be ready to... With that scenario where there's 4 songwriters and you're each taking turns, you want to stay ready to react.
Right.
Or like, oh, they just sang a song about UFOs. I got a song about UFOs.
I can top that one.
Exactly. But it's fun to be playing again, and one of my motivations beyond just missing it was I went to a couple picking parties recently. And then last Jabber Jawn, I started to play a song and I couldn't remember how it went. And I was like, these songs, use them or lose them. They were like sinking in the water, and I just want them close to the surface. So just performing regularly keeps the songs more accessible. Like I'm taking my songs out of the storage and putting them back in my pockets, so I'm armed and dangerous in the world.
Well, that makes sense.
Now,
I
how
don't
was
see
the
how
show?
you remember all those anyway.
But just the few times or a couple times I performed this week has already brought songs back to life.
When you're doing that at night, like do you have the words there for backup in case
if I need, if need be, I can search them on the.
No, I turned it on one time and it was just like movie type music, like a picture of you looking away from the camera or something.
Might be the start screen.
I just thought maybe you weren't on. I watched it for a little bit and I thought, man, he's either really taking his time or he's like getting into some drone music that's never going to turn around.
It's a funny thing about live streaming. Most live streamers have a little wait screen at the beginning. Because if you just go live and you start into your show, there's no one there yet.
Oh, right.
No one's, unless it's like a really well scheduled. But even then, because it's, nothing's on your face. If you're on Facebook and suddenly you're streaming, at first there's no one there.
Right.
It's not like TV where people are sitting there and you're the next show on, where you have to come out hard. It takes at least 5 minutes for people to get dialed into the show. And so most live streams, Dad always hated that wait screen at the beginning. It's like, well, I go home and try to watch the show and nothing's happening for the first 5 minutes.
Now, how was the show you went to up above Worthington's?
Oh my goodness, that was fun. Lauren Stockman's birthday bash, where he plays in 3 bands and all 3 bands played that night. And it felt really good. I've been going out more lately, getting out of, relieving myself from my self-imposed exile, I guess, sort of getting back out into the world, and that was a really healthy version of that, reconnecting with people.
Very good.
Yeah. I feel like a new day is on the horizon.
Oh, that's
Oh,
good.
that's great. Now, what was I going to ask about? Oh, have you made it to Marino's yet?
I went to the first Tuesday jam, but I didn't make it this last Tuesday.
I thought the first one is one you said you drove by and didn't go in.
Oh, that they didn't have music that night.
Right. Okay. But you went last Tuesday,
Exactly. Yeah.
and we didn't talk about that on Jabber Jawn, did we?
We might
I
not
don't
have.
remember that you said anything about it.
Were there people there?
Yeah, and I definitely have gotten reports that this Tuesday we were celebrating Kether's birthday that night, so I didn't go. But everybody seemed to have a good time.
Good.
Yeah.
So if somebody
It's
like me
definitely
tried to
on.
go in there, what would they say? If we don't know you, get out, or they would welcome
At
me there?
Marino's? No.
I would leave. I had the best time. Hey, my wallet's gone. Where?
You never went to the old Marino's?
No, I moved out of town in '84, so I was barely old enough to drink. So when I came back, it was closed.
I gotcha.
I missed all the glory years.
Yeah, you would have loved it. It would have been right up your alley. I think you would have been very comfortable. But most of the people at Marino's aren't playing.
Right.
It's not. You're never gonna feel like. You know what it's like to go. You go to bars. It's just like that.
Should I just carry? Should I carry like a harmonica just in case? Or
You
something?
never know.
It's somebody says,
Little
"Get
egg
up here."
shaker.
Wait a minute. I got my porch board.
Just trying to blend in. Oh, the heel, right? Heel toe.
That boy can play some porch board. Look at you go. Cool. He's spilling sausage gravy everywhere.
That sausage gravy looked good.
I know
Sausage gravy was good.
People are writing on here that looks good. They wanted to come to town and try some.
Yeah, I'm a big fan.
Steve Conroy said Steve's plate of sausage gravy and biscuits looked fantastic. Made me want to fly out there and get some.
Are you on the Discord on your phone? Oh, cool. I was confused because you have a white background. I've never seen that. I didn't even know that was an option.
This is a collector's item.
Yeah, you got
I paid
the
extra.
You paid extra. That's fancy.
Got my.
Do they have anything they want us to talk about?
Hey, Steve is watching. Steve Brotsman's watching.
Hey,
Steve.
good to see you, buddy.
He's got his heel tap versus toe tap figured out now.
It can be. I remember Miles Goodlow's dad once pulled me aside. He'd seen me perform at the Mockingbird, and he plays some music, and he was just so intrigued by the effect my stomping was having on his enjoyment of the music, and went home and just was all obsessed with trying to stomp himself.
Now, is stomping is that like a just a steady beat to keep, or do you like throw in like a little?
I can't get too fancy. I'm not. I don't have great natural rhythm, much to my chagrin a lot of times.
No, do you ever do like the horse rhythm?
But like on the piano over there, I have this. On the right side, I have a tambourine sitting on the floor, and on the left side, I have a kick drum pedal on a cardboard box. But then. And I can't help but hit those things. And a lot of times I'm listening back, I'm like, Nathan, stop doing that. It's just
Now-
not okay. But there's just something that happens when you.
Well, yeah.
There's just something about a pulse, a little beat
Right.
that can just lock you into a nice little place. And it just
Well,
gives
that's
it.
why there are drummers and bass players. That's what they do, don't they?
Now, have you done any study or not study, but any listening to like old minstrel music?
I wonder what you mean by that.
I'm trying to think what I mean by it too, but I think of someone like you with like a tambourine on
Oh,
a stick.
the one-man band phenomenon.
Like somebody that would
Where they
tour.
got the
somebody that would-
cymbals between their knees.
Somebody that would tour, sell some snake oil and stuff and have sex with a couple of the local women and move on.
Did you see the part of the show last night when I was hitting the little clown bicycle horn with my foot?
Yeah. I didn't know you would do it with your foot. Yeah, you said something like something halfway funny.
That's that old one-man band.
So minstrel, what is it? What's minstrel?
What is minstrel?
Is that like Deep South thing, or is that like from King Arthur? What is a minstrel?
A minstrel show was where it was like a variety show where they did different acts.
But like from the
come out.
king, like England, or was
Well,
it like
they were traveling shows, and I think they started in England and made it through the United States. But they were just like your traveling fairs and things like that. They were entertainment that you couldn't have it in one place. You just take it to the people and travel. So people would come from all around. They'd come down out of the valleys and be a minstrel show. And they'd try to sell you stuff. And it would be like a big party. You get a chance to see and visit your neighbors.
Do you remember that kind of stuff from your youth?
No, I didn't. Never go to a minstrel show. The closest I would say would be the county fairs and the fairs that would come through. I'd do.
That was a pretty big deal, though, huh?
Back in the early '60s, we're talking about when I was little, and they would have burlesque shows at the county fair.
What?
Right over there at the park.
They need to bring those back.
Right next to the fairgrounds is what it was called, where the baseball field is, where Lake Tams is, and that was where they would have the fairs that would come
So the
through.
fathers would just break away from the family for a half hour at some point
the
during the
young
evening.
men and the fathers. Yeah.
And what was going on in
And
there?
I can just see all the kids trying to find a crack in the tent.
Yep. Yeah. I guess I was probably 16 or 17 when I finally.
Oh, you got into one?
I've been to them. Yeah.
Tell that story.
Well, I stood in the back and there were all kinds of men, and the women would come out and there would be music just like, a burlesque show.
Had to be live music, right? On some level?
No, a lot
Was
of
the Statler
times
Brothers playing?
Well, I guess y'all had.
they probably were. Sometimes I'm sure there was live music. I never really noticed.
Where's that music coming from?
right.
I really didn't notice much of anything. I was focused, just like Kyle. I was focused on getting those breast alphabetically right.
He was just over there. He was just over there pounding out the beat.
Hey, stop that. What is wrong with you? That's wrong.
God, so you're going over to the burlesque show. The poor minstrels over there. This sucks. He's like, nobody.
There was no competition, but I don't know if I snuck in or if I paid and went in. I was really subversive about it. I was,
Did you see
I felt
anybody
like
new
I was
in there?
getting away with something, and I guess I was.
You probably were. Yeah.
But
Did you see Eugene in there?
I saw a lot of people on the Augusta County School Board, but they were just making sure everything was right. You got to
Copacetic.
check these things out. That's,
I'm sure the safety protocol.
Wow, I
was
never
adhered to.
heard of that.
yeah, there were burlesque shows
As part of the fair.
as part of the county fair.
Were there like
Wow.
like human oddities or whatever? Like
Yeah.
the oldest man alive or the
the
two
show.
Siamese
Yeah,
twins. or,
Reptile Man. And,
right.
Yeah.
Did you ever see any of those?
Yeah, I didn't really like those. They gave me the willies, but but I definitely went to one or two just to experience what it was like.
Yeah.
But that was a strange time.
Yeah.
Did it make you feel better about yourself?
course not. Made me feel guilty for going and seeing something like that.
I remember my grandmother.
I was a good Christian boy.
My grandparents, my mom's parents lived in Chicago, and I'm not really even sure. I guess burlesque wasn't total nudity. They were, just sexy ladies, but they would get. She said her husband, my grandfather, would get out like a suit and tie, and they would go to these burlesque shows, and they would take his wife with him, take my grandmother. And they said it was just couples sitting there, and he said the ladies would throw out Hershey's Kisses and stuff, and we were like, she was telling us the story, like he would take you, like we were thinking, like modern day, like all this nasty stuff, and she's like, no, it's everybody there had a suit and tie on, the women were dressed up, and and I was
just
like,
evocative.
yeah, I was like, man, that's crazy. I never would think about grandparents sitting there doing something like that. the height of class,
Crazy.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever think of running away and joining the carnival?
The freak show.
The circus, the freak show.
No, I was more to run away and join a baseball team, play for the Detroit Tigers. That was more my dream. Well, I didn't have any skills at the fair level. I mean, the acrobats and the trapeze, they were all great athletes, but I couldn't do any of that.
Mm-hmm.
No, wait, I'm a little bit confused. This was did they have rides and stuff, or this was just like a traveling, like a circus where you mostly just watched?
Mostly it was rides and games, gambling games, rigged gambling games, and but there was some of them, not all of them, but there were some of the big ones would have these burlesque shows too.
Sort of love the con of it all, like a lot of the rigged games.
Well,
even some of the bearded ladies or whatever were like a play on words that you wouldn't realize till you got to the other side. Like, they would trick you into going in. I can't think of a good example, but there are good examples where
the alligator man.
Right, it's not what you thought it was going to be at all.
Well, yeah, some of them would be like there'd be an alligator's body and mirrors and things.
Yeah, right.
They were fake. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah, there was that going on too. But there were a lot of actually deformed human beings that they were, people were making money by looking at them. Well, that sounds terrible, but at the same time, these people were making a living.
Right.
And you were being an idiot for paying the money to come in. So
I'm sure some of them had a good sense of humor about the whole enterprise.
I hope so. But, it's just, in retrospect, you wouldn't do it anymore. Because you're laughing at people, and that's not appropriate.
Have you ever seen that Todd Browning movie, Freaks?
Oh, yeah.
That'll take your breath away
I was just sitting here thinking about the Elephant Man, too. Holy moly, what a movie that was.
Wow, you've seen and done it all.
You ever been overseas?
Not really, nope.
Not really.
Well, I've been in Costa Rica, and there's a sea between
Yeah, that
us.
works.
So I technically have.
Gotcha.
But I've never been to Europe, and I talk about Europe a lot, but I've read a lot, but that has nothing to do with what Europe's really like. I'd like to spend some time doing that. Maybe in my next life I'll be a world booking agent.
That's where you would go? France?
Oh, no.
Germany? Europe?
No, I don't want to go to France. Those people talk funny. Good Lord. Where would I go? I probably would go to Europe, England and France, Ireland and Scotland. That's
What's our family lineage?
We have a lot of Scotch-Irish.
We do?
Yeah. Yeah, then there's a sprinkling of everything else. I don't know about you, but I have a little bit of African American in my left big toe. But I wish I had more so I could, but every once in a while my big toe will get that rhythm and I can feel it's alive.
Do we have any African American?
I don't know. Vicky, my sister, did one of those genetic things, and it didn't break it down that far, so I don't know. Not too directly, but as I recall, we were mostly like 33% Scotch-Irish.
Why is it Scotch-Irish? Why is it Scotch-Irish?
You know, I was doing a little deep diving about that a while back. It's really a fascinating thing of where the Scots and the Irish didn't get along, but there was a sea in between them. But the British were trying to control both of them, and they were hinterlands. And one of the things that the English did was to solve the problem of these warring tribes in the north, was to take some of the poor people in Scotland and ship them over and take them over to Ireland and inhabit some of those. So the Scots and the Irish were thrown together in this time period.
Because they shared a common
They shared
foe.
their hate for the British, and then finally they merged a little bit to the point where I think the British hoped they would kill each other off, but it didn't work that way. But then they started immigrating to to America, and they were a mixture of Scots and Irish, and they became Scotch-Irish.
That was, where were you?
Now that's just my take on it through Google, so I don't know. I'm not a historian, and I'm probably all screwed up, so I apologize.
Do you know what your family tree is like?
No, when you were telling that, my grandfather, the one that went to the striptease club with his wife, when I knew him, he worked at Scott and Stringfellow downtown. So I always had this.
That?
It was what do you call it?
CPAs, money.
Like stocks and stuff. They had
Yeah.
a little ticker tape thing that would go across the
Stockbroker.
Yes, he was a stockbroker. So my image of him, my entire life has been like him in a suit, stockbroker. He knew everybody in town, and anybody that had money that they would come in. So that's always been my image of him. So my uncle was.
And that was here?
Yeah, it used to be downtown. Yeah, right around near where Maid was, I think, if I remember right. But so my uncle was here last week, and we parked in the parking deck. And we were walking up, and he said, that's where Dad worked. And I said, no, Scott Stringfellow is down here. And he said, no, he worked in the farm department at Woolworths or Wards or something downtown. I was like, what? I said, what is that? He worked in the farm department. I always imagine him coming from Chicago, coming here, stockbroker, And he's like, yeah, when he got here, he didn't have a job. He worked in the farm department. And it's like my whole concept of my grandfather, I was like, whoa, I was like, whoa, it's weird to find out stuff that you've just, not that there's nothing wrong or good about that, but just like, I just thought of him always as that way. And now all of a sudden, imagine him down there selling seed and hose and stuff. It's like, man, it's so weird. And then he worked at some paint shop or something. I was like, man, I had to go sit down.
And then he became a stockbroker?
Yeah. And I didn't want to, my mind was so blown, I couldn't even ask any questions. I was like, but it's just weird how you think your family, and nobody ever told me that. I mean, nobody ever said, I want you to always remember your grandfather was a stockbroker. It's just when I knew him, that's what he did. So it's weird if you just go back even in your lifetime, but in his lifetime, how different your history is, Just to imagine him selling, some farmers coming in with their truck and him loading up bags of manure or something into their truck. Just so weird.
Did Granddad work at DuPont straight from youth?
As far as I know, he started sweeping floors there in high school.
Wow.
And worked his way up to supervisor. I bet he was the only supervisor there that didn't have a college education.
Wow. That's pretty great.
But he put 3 kids through college.
Yeah.
That's where my dad worked too, DuPont.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He worked at he was living at the Waynesboro Funeral Home. And when they got married, they said, my mom was like, we can't live at the funeral home.
It was like an apartment upstairs or something?
Because he had to be on call, I think, or something. She said he would pick her up in the hearse sometimes and go on dates.
He
and
worked
stuff.
at the funeral home?
Yeah. And he used to, when we were little, he'd take
Wait,
us.
this is your dad you're talking
Yeah,
about?
when we were little, he would take us back. He had like a, you know, like on men have like a little case they keep cufflinks, whatever, in, and he would show us fake eyeballs he had taken out of dead people, and he'd be like, "I got the eyeball."
Is that what he did? That was his career?
I don't think he wasn't a. I don't. He didn't do like the mortician type stuff. I think he was more. I don't really know what he did.
Casket salesman?
He was like a kid. He was in his teens when he worked there. I don't know if he cleaned them or picked them up, or I don't know what he did. But he drove the hearse, so I know he had to. But then when they got married, my mom was like, "I'm not going to live above the funeral home." So he applied at DuPont and got a job.
Oh, wow.
So he worked there, yeah, until you know, whenever they sold or whatever they did.
Isn't it a strange idea of being a casket salesman? Because you're trying to sell the most expensive ones. So your whole pitch has to be trying to encourage people in subtle or overt ways to spend more money on the thing that's going to just be buried underground. I feel like that's strange.
It's like selling something to someone who doesn't need it, which
Right.
is what most of our society does.
Right. I mean, I guess
It's not like they're.
it's not
It's
uncommon.
not like the casket salesmen are all the only people feeling that way.
Well,
I
sometimes
think you ought to feel that way if you're selling alcohol myself.
I've often thought about that, like, especially since I'm alone now, like, I should just go buy all that stuff now. Like, tell people, you know, this is what I want, you know, I don't care. Don't feel guilty. They have to get me the best one, you know. I'm gone. I don't care. But, you know, I'm sure a lot of people are just like, oh my God, you know, I have to get the best one, get her the best one. I should just go, like, put on a payment plan or something.
It's a tough pressure to put on somebody.
Oh,
It's like,
yeah.
really, you're gonna get them that one?
Yeah.
Like,
All right.
I mean, I guess they're dead. So, but obviously you didn't love them that much. I guess.
I guess y'all been estranged for years, huh?
But the whole thing is strange because, I mean, it seems like
were you adopted? Because
I think
obviously.
it would make a great situation comedy. I agree. You're onto something, son.
it's such a strange notion to begin with that you wouldn't just put the body in the earth and let it return to nature and become flowers, you know, like to maintain that separation of human imagination from the natural forces eternally like that is, it just seems so unnatural.
Now, do you think
so
what is
strange.
that? What is that thing we were talking about? Where there's some? Oh God, what is it called? Like where there's this. God, like a scam. Like we were talking about that place out in California where people go. What is it? What are those things called? Conspiracy theories. You think that was like? Do you think that was like sort of they talked people into getting
A market created
like,
by the
yeah,
casket
like they
company.
There's
but
really no need for it. But I always thought it was just.
I can
sort of-
imagine that campaign. Like before, we just put bodies
Right.
into and that was a natural course of things. And then somebody invents the casket company, and now they have to create this desire in the population for putting your loved one in a box first. Because, come on, you can't just have someone you love down there with worms. You got to protect them from that kind of indignity.
What do you think it has to do with like population? They just didn't want bones coming up. We didn't want them getting in the water or anything. They tried to make it more sanitary.
It's an interesting theory. What do you think is the origin of the casket?
What?
The casket. Why did we start doing that in the first place?
I don't know. Might have something to do with disease during the plague, something like that, where they want to keep the bodies from being contaminating the world. Or I don't know. Probably has a religious significance too.
Now, do you know if it's 6 feet deep? Does that have any? Is that for any reason?
Yeah, because dogs don't go that deep.
Well, You just nailed a couple of things with that observation. That's a reason to put them in the box too. Like,
There you go.
do you?
That's a
We're
good.
guessing you don't want to see them again.
That's a good point. You don't want that arm laying on the front porch with a smiling dog, happy that he brought home Homer.
Right.
I read this book. It's a nonfiction book about in England when they would do surgeons needed bodies to work on. So these guys would go like the grave stealers, the grave diggers would go steal bodies and stuff.
That's the ultimate conspiracy theory.
But the thing is, people were so scared of being buried alive, they would make coffins with like a string and a bell. Yeah. I was thinking, oh my God, I'd be ringing that damn bell so hard it'd probably break the string. Oh no, now what do I do? You know? And who would hear it? Just grave digger, hear the bell, hear the bell.
Oh my God, that is a weird image.
It is a weird image.
But they used to do like all kinds of tricks to try to trick the grave diggers and stuff, so they wouldn't. Because it was easy if you were freshly buried, because the ground hadn't settled and all that stuff. Like, man, that's some. Oh. But it had a purpose, which is, I very much agree with donating your body or your organs or something like that. Mm-hmm. So, but I guess back then you didn't really do it that much.
Well, back then they didn't have anything to do with it. We didn't have that kind of medicine.
Right, they weren't. Yeah, they couldn't use the organs, but they could just for studying. They would bring them up.
Oh yeah, I guess we always had weirdos that just wanted to take things apart, see how they work. But boy, I would feel it would. I could not. Selling caskets, trying to persuade people as gently or whatever as possible, I guess, but to buy the nicer casket, playing on their love for their loved ones or whatever. It's such an interest. But you got to do it. Like if you're selling caskets and you got the elite version or the base standard issue, that whole psychology is just pretty fascinating. Oh well, we got to get them the elite.
Right. Now, at the old state fairs you go to, where they have a casket seller over one of the you want to go to the burlesque or go get yourself a cast?
You can try them out. You could rent them for a night.
Man, can you imagine like a mobile casket, like a food truck or something? Come on, they can pick out which one you want. Send me payments every month, and I'll deliver.
It was buy two get one free. So we're set.
But can you imagine if you say in the 1800s, you bury somebody and you go to say something to them you just want to go talk to them next week, and the grave's dug up. Man, that would shock the hell out of you. Like, oh, they're back. You wouldn't know. What did they? Oh man.
How do you have a preference for what happens with your remains?
I would since I'm a diabetic, I don't know what they can use, but anything they can use, they can have, and then I would like to be cremated. I have really bad. And I know if I'm dead, I'm dead, but I really have fears of being buried alive. Like pretty deep-seated fears. Mm-hmm. If I'm dead, cut my head off.
Yeah, I was going to say, we could just lop your head off first.
Dismember me and then put me in there.
I'm going to advocate that we lop your head off and then get you the nicest casket money can buy.
And do we save any money?
That cover every guilt possibility.
All the bases.
Sell my head. They could use that,
And the deaf can keep both my ears if they don't mind the size. How's that verse go? You know what I'm talking about?
John Prine.
Oh man.
But even like the old Clint Eastwood movies or something, they kill somebody and the old guy comes out, the coffin maker. Like even back in the old Wild West when there was open land everywhere, they would put them in a coffin. Somebody had to make
There
a
is
buck.
the fact that if you put them in a box, you don't have to bury them as deep, as far as the dog's theory or whatever in the Wild West. So you just.
But why do you always hear 6 feet deep? Is that like a scientific reason, or is that flood waters won't rise them up, or is that a religious thing, or? Was Jesus 6 feet tall or something? So we bury him at the foot of Jesus, the feet of Jesus. What was it?
I have no idea how we got to 6 feet.
Hey Siri, why do we bury people 6 feet deep?
Requirements for depth can vary according to soil type and by method of burial. California, for instance, requires only 19 inches of soil above the top of the coffin, but more commonly 30 to 36 inches are required in other places. In some areas, such as Central Appalachia, graves were indeed once dug to a depth of 6 feet to prevent the body being disturbed by burrowing animals. This is from Wikipedia.
How about that?
California be barely underground.
The fascinating thing we learned there is that not all the world shares that 6 feet thing. It's an Appalachian tradition that we just assume is a universal, but it's actually regional specific. That's sort of fascinating. And it's because of burrowing animals. So we just got local wisdom that we don't even realize.
So California, you're only like that far into the ground?
Yeah, what's up with that?
God,
I think
man.
everybody out there is
Lazy liberals.
getting something else.
What did you say?
Well, I think most everybody out there is probably getting cremated and other things. I don't. I think
They're all being frozen so they can be brought back to life.
Yeah,
when
they're just
technology catches
acre
up.
after acre. You got them solar panels, and they cover over the bodies that are laying there.
Keeping the refrigeration going.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
So what's the chat saying? How are we doing?
The people are. Let's see, Steve. Let's see, Karen Swing or Karen yes, Karyna. How do you say that?
Karina.
Karina. Hi, gentlemen. I need this ground out. Got a tiny bit scared, and I am so glad you all just share space together and with us.
Oh, that's nice. I definitely got some fun reports from my outings lately of people that I was surprised have been tuning into some Jabber Jawns.
Yeah, it always. Mr. Blackmer said he's watched it before. I mean, they don't watch it regularly, and most of them can't watch it at 7 o'clock, on live like now, but they go back and watch it. And I think it's a good background music, and I do think there are people that are in my age group at least. So you have time during the day to, which you don't have to do anything. I like to look off into space a lot lately, and if this is on, it's not much different.
Right. You're just not alone.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a background, and there's people around.
I wonder if we should start putting up flyers in like old folks' homes, maybe an ad on the radio. Should we start advertising?
Yeah, we ought to sell them caskets when we go.
We can hook up with a local
we can
funeral
put all this
home.
together. We can make us a lot of money.
People go to a funeral, there's all these things taped to the side of the casket. What is that, Jabber Jawn?
We could give a casket for a door prize every week.
We could rig it up so that they could hear Jabber Jawn on an eternal loop.
Oh, man, wouldn't that be something?
Don't be buried alone. Jabber Jawn Funeral Home.
Jabber Jawn Funeral Home.
Now, you sure you want the standard?
You
did love them, right?
I
You
mean,
did love them.
just looking at you, I don't see you in a normal. I see you just a little bit better than that.
You're such a regal-looking gentleman.
Pine, definitely.
What was that?
Wouldn't be caught dead in a pine casket.
Well, don't they make like cardboard ones?
That was pretty good.
Lex, we missed you.
Yeah, I needed a laugh on
when
that.
I worked in Richmond, I had a friend. They didn't have any money, as they were all his family. I think his dad was a doctor, but something went wrong. They lost all their money. And this guy was living like at a group home, just a bathroom at the end of the hallway. Nicest guy, smartest guy, wonderful guy. But his sister passed away, and they had no money, and they just took her, like the city just took her and buried her, like I'm not sure if it was an unmarked grave or what. I was like, and he was like, you could tell it's driving him. I mean, there was it was on his mind for like months. Like we had to bury my sister like that. I was like, man, that would be. Oh, that gives me the chills too. Like,
God, that is an interesting question. So, people that have no money, are they just in unmarked? I guess
I can't remember. It was
so many people are
unmarked or just like
cremated
a-
these days.
It
That
might have been
most
like a-
people
I
probably
bet
don't
they-
have a
I don't think they
tombstone.
bury them anymore if they don't have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they cremate them because we just don't have space.
Mm-hmm.
We're running out of all the local places. I'm sorry, you can't die. We can't. We don't have room.
Right.
But I know there's all kinds of things now, like they can bury, like you said, like on a, like something that'll dissolve. There's like they plant an apple tree or something above you. Like there's a lot of new age type,
That's a fun idea.
yeah, things. There's a lady here that does something. What do? They put your body in water and let it dissolve or something. I think she's a bartender at Baja. I can't think of what her name is.
She does that on the
Well,
side.
she's studying for that or something.
Studying for that.
What in the world?
Baja does it.
You
They
gotta
put you,
ask more questions when you have these conversations.
Baja's got a big old keg. of
People
beer, they
don't
just jam you.
dissolve in water. P.S. Just saying.
Well, I
It's
think
not
this.
like
I think
we're
that's what it
salt.
is. Courtney, if anybody's watching these, ones of you that told me these stories, but she's studying because I think they put you in water and then your body dissolves in it, so it's just the bones, and then they grind up the bones, or I can't remember. I shouldn't drink when I'm down there hearing these stories.
At the bar where you get all this gold.
I suggest you do some research down there this week and get back to us.
Ask
next
more
week.
questions. Now you have a TV
That's
show.
right.
Yeah.
You have a reason to
I
ask.
should have. She's like one of the main bartenders at Baja. You probably know her.
I haven't been in there in so long.
That'd be a fit. Well, I don't know who wants to hear about it.
It looks like we're about at the end of the episode. Is there anything that any stone that's left unturned? Did you have anything prepared that you didn't get?
I was ready to talk if I had to, but I didn't need to.
We still got a few minutes.
No, there was two things I was blabbing on about before the show started.
Oh, the Blackfriars, we
We
covered
got
that.
that. What was the other thing I was blabbing on about?
Oh, you asked me if I was enjoying streaming again.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah. Let me try this one.
Yeah,
this
please.
this happened last night, and I'm not sure I can get it right, but it doesn't matter. I'll just still explain it just to end on a lighter note.
Good.
We're going to go inside my brain. Every once in a while, I have funny things happen in there. And last night, I had one where I was thinking about. I heard it on TV. They use the word disguise,
This guy.
and I assume that's disguise, disguise. And that sounds French to me. I don't know much about language. Isn't that an interesting word?
It is an interesting word. I always want to misspell it too. I always think a Q should go in there, but no.
Yeah, disguise. And we all know what disguise means. And I started thinking about the word, and I like the word, and I was thinking how you could. And then I realized, well, one of my favorite songs. I immediately jumped into.
Judy in disguise?
No.
No.
No, not at
Well,
all.
that's what you are.
Shut up.
Lemonade
Stop it!
pies. Got your brand new car. Sorry.
God,
Cantaloupe eyes.
stop it.
Cantaloupe eyes.
You should have
Can
never
you
brought
stop?
this.
Please
You
stop.
stopped me before
Can
cantaloupe
you stop
eyes.
it?
You should have never
I'm
brought
trying
this
to
up.
do something serious here.
Oh, I thought you were ending on a lighter note.
Well, I thought it was, but you tried to steal my shot. Yeah, you're getting in the way.
Stand back.
No, you're doing great. It's perfect. I'm just kidding.
He's doing the best that he can.
Exactly. All right. So, no, wrong.
Okay.
But don't start singing another song.
Oh, dang it.
What else? When I say disguise, what other great song? A really great lyrics, interesting lyrics.
Wow.
And he's got that voice, that New Jersey voice, down
Another
low.
hint.
And he says, "And is that you, baby? Or just a Oh
I
my
don't
God.
know the song.
Oh
So
yeah,
far.
you do. Yeah,
Angel
you do.
in Disguise.
What?
Angel in Disguise.
No. Is that you, baby, or just a brilliant disguise?
No, I don't know this.
I don't know.
You
it
don't
either.
know a brilliant disguise?
No.
Oh my God! It's one of the great Bruce Springsteen songs.
Oh, really?
Oh wow!
Oh,
I was thinking you were talking about back farther.
Oh
Okay.
my gosh. Well, okay. I mean, we've got to hear it somehow. You've got to. It's wonderful. It's just a great song. Okay. So then my brain says, a brilliant disguise, and I asked Alexa to play it, and she did, and I loved it, and I looked up the lyrics because some of them were different than I thought, as usual, and I listened to it, and it's a great song. One of his earliest ones, Asbury Park probably, it was probably on Asbury Park. So at any rate, from there, I went to, now let me see, this is where I can get it messed up. Well, it's okay. I went to Judy in the Sky.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, Judy in the Sky. I did exactly what you just did, but I didn't know all the lyrics. So I asked Alexa to play it. And I knew who it was. I had the record in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Judy in the Sky was by John Fred and the Playboy Band,
Yep.
1966 probably. And it was, Judy in the Sky. But then I Googled it to see what the words were because they were so weird.
So weird.
And it was Judy in Disguise. And I had said in my brain, Judy in the Sky.
Right.
But then I said, well, Google got it wrong. And then I realized that I had gotten it wrong. So I did Judy in the Sky. Well, I found out about that song was written by John Fred Guerin. John Fred was his first two names. He was a guy down in New Orleans, a young guy, a garage band. It was their only big hit. And
One hit wonder.
yeah, one hit wonder. And what he was doing was making a playoff of a song by the Beatles
Lucy
earlier.
in the Sky with Diamonds.
Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. So I had confused those two, Judy and Lucy.
Right.
But he thought that the Beatles were saying Lucy in Disguise. So he wrote Judy in Disguise as like a little takeoff, and he put these weird lyrics in just because because theirs were weird.
Uh-huh.
And he didn't need them to make sense or anything. You look at them, and both of them are like that. So I went from a brilliant disguise to Judy in Disguise to Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, which everybody knows is a drug song from their LSD experiences. And so there was all that. So we went from Bruce Springsteen in my brain in about a minute and a half, much shorter than this one, to all that.
Oh, that's a cool little musical
So
journey.
there's a little story for you.
Now,
But there's a lot of rock history in there.
There is.
Now, of those three songs, which one do you prefer the most?
Oh, the only real song was, the other two are musical ditties.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have anything to do with lyrics at all. And they
Right.
know it. They're just playing. But Brilliant Disguise is a great song. It's a story. It's got
listen to
it's
that.
got a feel. A song that, to me.
Well, we'll get a copyright strike if we play it on the air, but as soon as we go off air, that can be our leaving song
Yeah,
tonight.
well, they
crank
can-
it up on the system over there.
Yeah, Google A Brilliant Disguise.
Yeah, I'm looking forward
And
to
thank
it.
me.
I bet I'll recognize it when I hear the music.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
Well, somebody's already sent a copy of it to me.
Oh, look at that. I see.
Yeah.
Boy, that is a young Bruce Springsteen.
Isn't it?
Holy moly.
And somebody sent Judy in Disguise too.
Those are such, I can't even remember. Lemonade pies, got your brand new car. Come to me tonight, you're Judy in Disguise. With glasses.
With glasses. Yes, exactly.
Steve Conroy said Steve should do a Disguise mashup mix of all these songs.
Judy in disguise with diamonds. What should it be? New or old?
Man.
I'll try a new one. They don't want you to know there's still people out there hopping trains. Somewhere new by morning, dancing like sunshine in the rain. Life is on a grand adventure, all out there who are alive. Now's the time, now's the time, now's the time. Unseen forces, gorgeous wardrobes. I don't know about that line. Magic words to part the sky. There's nothing so wrong with anyone that we can't wear wings and fly. Life is on a grand adventure, all out there who are alive. Now's the time, now's the time. Now's the time. Follow your ears to the music. Follow your eyes to the light. Follow your nose to the sweet perfume. Follow your tongue to the bite. Life is on a grand adventure, all out there who are alive. Now's the time, now's the time, now's the time, now's the time. Now's the time, now's the time, now's the time. Yay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. Woo. We will see you next time.
Thanks for writing in,
Lex.
everybody.
Appreciate you. Miss you, Lex.
Yep, Lex. And thanks for sending the songs, too. We'll listen to them before we go home.
Oh, yeah, we're going to fire up that brilliant disguise.
Let's do
right
it.
now.
I want to hear it right now.
Now it's starting to seem like I know that
Are
song.
we over?
Yeah, basically.
I mean, are they listening?
I have to stand up and walk all the way over there to cut it all the way up.
He has to put his disguise on to go over there.
Can you crank up a brilliant disguise and play it loud?
Yes, I can. That is what I'm going to do.
You'll know it as soon as you hear it.
Yeah, now it sounds